When you buy a property from a developer, it's really like rolling a dice. If you're lucky, the development gets completed and you can move into your new home. Or if it's a bungalow type of development, then you can look at the building plans to build your dream house. So it's a gamble, isn't it? Although the Housing Development Act have put in place some procedures and laws that offer some protection to the property purchaser, there are other types of development that doesn't come into its ambit. One type is a bungalow lot. When you buy a bungalow lot from a developer, then this is really a gamble, because should the development fail, you're almost really at the hands or at the mercy of the liquidators. Last year, it was estimated that 45,500 property development have been abandoned and facing liquidation. 45,500, I mean, that's a lot of people who are frustrated and in trouble with the banks. We haven't found the numbers of land lot type of development that have gone bust. We speak to two legal experts who are very well versed in property development. Professor Saleh Buang, and also advisor to the Malaysian Institute of Estate Agents, Mr. David Koch, on their thoughts and feelings about the current situation and what needs to be in place to give better protection to property purchasers.
I want to know what is happening to our land here.
We're talking about a development that started 10 years ago. Between 2000 and 2003, about 600 people paid more than 50 million ringgit for their plots of bungalow land. But here we are in 2010, and they have neither the land nor their title nor anything else.
Professor, what is there in the current law to protect buyers of property, whether it's built property like apartments and terrace houses or bungalow lots?
Okay, we're talking about people buying land lots, not housing units. In the beginning, when you sell land lots, it's just a contract. The vendors of the land, selling land lots to purchasers, are not governed by the Housing Developers Act. It is just Contracts Act. But then there was an amendment along the way that if you are selling land to a purchaser, and then the land is going to be built upon it by a contractor to build a house, and the contractor is within the stable of companies within your company, you are still caught. You are still covered by the same Housing Development Act. But actually it is easy to avoid it, because you can have a company which is the owner of the land, you sell the land, you can have a contractor within your group, but a different board of directors, located in another building. The land sale is made in January, the construction agreement is made in February. No one is going to connect you with that, and that transaction is beyond the scope of the Housing Development Act. So our advice is for people who buy land is to make sure that they are buying the land and they get the title right away. Then they must be given that freedom to appoint their own contractor to build the house. Then they are protected. There is another aspect of the housing industry that you have not mentioned, and I just remembered about it, and that is we're talking about people who are cash buyers. Now, cash buyers normally do not really pay too much concern about their safety. They have got money, anything they can buy. So they pay. So in the past, there have been occasions in which when they pay their money cash to the developer should, as an honest businessman, redeem the bridging finance first from the bank, get the land discharged, and submit the land to the land office for the individual titles, get the titles out, transfer the individual title, the QT, to the purchaser, so that even if the housing project is abandoned, these cash buyers have a land title. Now, sadly, in Johor, it has happened before, and I know it can happen again. a lot of cash buyers who are not rich people, but they are working people, retired from across the causeway. They want to invest in Johor, and they are cash buyers. They just lost their investment. And these are properties not within the 1-200 range. These are almost in the million range. So this is another dark spot in our housing industry, and it's going to affect the image of this country as an investment place for people buying.
You see, if a project to me, if it's abandoned, say after 10% or 20% built up, that's not so bad. But if you abandon at 90% or 80%, for them to get a new company to come in to take over, what profit margin is for the new company? How is he going to take over? The only way that they are able to take over is, look, they have to increase the purchase price, re-sign the sale and purchase agreement, so that they can complete the project. So like it or not, I think for those projects that has been abandoned, and say at 80-90% right now, and it's very unlikely the developer have any more funds to complete the project, then the purchasers, although at their loss, may be a better idea, practically speaking, to get another company to finish the project, but pay a slightly higher purchase price, resign the S&P, in order for the new company to finish the project. But in any event, fortunately in Malaysia, property market, property prices usually increase and not decrease. So if they complete the project and if they are in a good area, so since it's abandoned for so many years, it's very likely they're able to sell also at the higher price. So it may be more practical wise to do that and not just sue the developer, which have no money anyway. So I think that is a more practical solution at the moment until there are better laws.
Mr. Kok, what other things should a purchaser like that should be mindful of? For example, bungalow lot, for instance.
If you want to be very thorough, okay, do some background check on the developer. And even the developer, you can always do a company search on the developer. And you can see their paid up capital, who are the directors and things like that. And that should tell you some information about the developers. But the problem is, as I said, most developers now, they are smart enough to do the development under a company that they form as a subsidiary company. So why do they do this? So that in the event if there's any liability, you can only sue the subsidiary company, not the parent company.
People who have purchased properties that falls outside the Housing Developers Act,
Yes.
If that development falls into liquidation, what legal recourse have they got really, with the liquidation?
So once again, that's why I'm saying that it's inadequate in the sense that only legal recourse is, look, you sue the developer. It's very difficult to make the directors to be liable for the same, unless it's fraud, and that's very difficult to prove. So other than that, there's not much remedy. You only can pray that developer have some money or some assets that they can liquidate, make some claims on that. But bearing in your mind, you're also an unsecured creditor. The secured creditor, which all the banks and financial companies will have a first say. And usually after that, you will not be much money left for the purchase. You only can pray that the developer still have the money. So that's why it may be a good idea to, in future, to hold whatever money that is collected by the developer up to a certain higher percentage. Now I think it's only about 300,000 or something like that. Higher percentage, maybe 50% of the development is built or whatever, before it can be released to the developer. Or they only allow a certain sum to be released to them, and the rest is held in a stakeholder account by account created by the authorities. So in that sense, at least not all the funds are lost in case this thing happens.